This is Alcohol Freedom Finders. In this episode, we welcome Coach Tim Kelly. Tim shares his personal journey of overcoming alcohol addiction, the multiple attempts and various treatments, and eventually finding solace through Annie Grace's This Naked Mind. Tim discusses his moment of realization, the support of his fiancée, and the transformative 30-day alcohol-free experiment, which marked the turning point in his life. Now Tim aims to help others by working with employers to provide support programs for their employees. Learn about the key elements that made freedom from alcohol possible for Tim, the importance of self-awareness, being present, and the significance of reclaiming personal power. Tune in to hear how Tim is making an impact through coaching and inspiring others on their paths to an alcohol-free life. On a technical note, we unfortunately had problems with the recording software on this episode, so the sound is pretty ropey, but it's definitely worth persevering.
Hello there. It gives me a great pleasure to introduce our fellow coach, Tim Kelly. Welcome to Alcohol Freedom Finders podcast, Tim. It's so exciting to have you with us. I see that you also want to bring programs to employers so that they can roll that out to their employees. So taking the same out of freedom on a wide scale.
Thank you for having me here, and that is correct. Definitely like to have a bigger audience, and the employers bring that to me.
That's great. Thanks for joining us, Tim. Well, take us back to earlier in your journey and let us know, and the listeners know, how things were when you came to realize you needed to change your relationship with alcohol. What was going on that made you think, okay, I've got to change?
Thanks, Barry. I would say I'd always been around alcohol. High school, college, all that good stuff, and professionally, business, entertainment. Always been around alcohol. I saw it as a tool, part of my life. Probably 10 years ago, went off a cliff. Everything was okay until it wasn't. Then it really wasn't. Everybody around me knew that I was in trouble. I knew I was in trouble. I had tried every form of treatment. Everyone around me, only thing everyone knew was 12-step. And so treatment centers, AA meetings, I ran AA meetings or chaired AA meetings, just never clicked with me. I was certainly powerless at the time, but I wasn't powerless. I knew I was never powerless. It's never my DNA, so to speak. I realized I needed help. Everyone else knew I needed help. Like I said, the more I tried, the more I didn't get any better and didn't see a way out. Multiple rock bottoms to the point where trips to the ER, multiple arrests where I was handcuffed to a hospital bed till my blood alcohol content was low enough for me to be processed into. I knew I was destroying my family. My kids at that point were trying to live their lives and get their footing in life. They're adults now, but yeah. So I realized I needed help naturally, and nothing was working for me ultimately. I think a major turn for me was my fiancée now found me drinking again. She didn't kick me out this time. She did the first time, rightfully. This time she was certainly disappointed, pissed off. But she was there with support and accountability.
Stop you asking. I'm really curious, and I want you to keep telling us about this, but I want to know what you think it is that kept taking you back. What is your kind of what were your triggers?
At that point, probably couldn't put my finger on it, Justine. I do know, as compared to today, I am comfortable in my skin for the first time in my life. And that's one of the things that being alcohol-free has brought to me. But I was never comfortable. I had a successful career, but I always felt like an imposter, that I didn't belong where I was, even though I was very successful at it. So the triggers were just anytime something went wrong or I just was uncomfortable, that was the tool. I knew what it did. Took care of the problem in that moment. I didn't know that it wasn't solving anything.
So how did you find freedom then, ultimately, after all those attempts and all those sort of 12-step programs and rehabs and stuff?
So Barry, Tracy, my fiance, didn't kick me out. Almost at the same time, I stumbled across Annie Grace and This Naked Mind. Read the book, joined a 30-day live alcohol experiment. I still say to this day, the best $48 I ever spent in my lifetime. And I haven't had a drink since. Everything, whatever happened right in that moment, everything came together. And now I'm sitting here with both of you, coaching This Naked Mind. The live alcohol experiment really clicked with me and got me on the path to be alcohol free and see what it is on the other side.
I celebrate that. It's amazing. So first of all, I want to know how long you've been alcohol free for, because the statistics say that it can take us a long time to make it stick, to 8 times of trying. I don't know how many times you've tried and how long you've been alcohol free for. Yeah.
It's a lot more than 8 times.
Okay.
It'll be 4 years in November, so next month.
Brilliant.
Can you put your finger on what part of the program really made things stick for you? Was it the fact that you realized you talked about powerless versus having power before with AA? Was it the fact that you were put back in the driving seat? What was it for you?
I think the power was a big thing, Justine. And I think the biggest thing for me was being aware and being present. One of the things, both familiar with Sam Goldfinch, he was one of the alcohol experiment coaches there. He talked about your fingers, your hands, they can't be anywhere where you're not. I find myself drifting that way, my fingers, because it's right here. So being present in the, appreciating the moment, whether it's a good moment or a bad moment, just getting into the moment and sitting with it and just appreciating it for what it is. If there's something there to pick out or pull a thread, I'll do that. But I just realize that in the moment, I'll never have again. Once the moment's there, it's gone. Being present in the moment and just being aware of emotions, feelings. I don't have to address all of those. I can acknowledge, tell them, I see you there, I know you're there, I'll come back to you later. I don't have to run from it, hide from it. Certainly never ignore it, but just put it on the back shelf for a moment. I'm ready to deal with it when I'm ready.
Yes, very good. And so you started with that 30-day experiment, and then what came next? How did you take it after that? Did you say, okay, that's it, I'm done? Or did you make a plan for, I won't drink for a bit longer? Or
I was done.
Yeah.
I was finished. I continued to other sources, Alcohol Explained, dove into the subject, more education around it, I would say, but followed This Naked Mind Facebook page. I did join another live alcohol experiment maybe a year and a half later. It wasn't because I was worried. It was because it helped me so much the first time. I felt $48 again. It can't hurt. And so I did the second one, but I was just finished.
Yeah, I love this repetition, the idea of repetition and education. Even as coaches, I celebrate being coached, not just because I get the ripple effect of helping others, but also each time I go over the material, each time I repeat a new behavior, it's some way leveling up what's around us in society about a lifetime of people telling us it's a birthday, it's a funeral, it's a wedding, it's a day. So each time we revisit and celebrate what it's like to live free of alcohol, it kind of re-embeds that information. What kind of things are you doing with yourself when you would normally be drinking? So you talked about talking about, I'll deal with it later, and uncomfortable feelings, but for you, was it the coming home from What did you put in the way of that moment? I'm curious to know how other people deal with it. For me, it was very much about creating a substitute to start with, choosing something else to drink and choosing a glass I wanted to drink from. For you, what were the practical steps you took as well?
Probably always enjoyed reading, so I would read more. I never went into the practice of replacing a drink, an alcohol-free drink or whatever. Now, I do have alcohol-free drinks every once in a while. Go to happy hour with friends once a month. Alcohol-free beer, a couple alcohol-free beers there. But early on, it was reading, getting outside more, to literally just nothing I specifically sought out. Just, I said, build out the reading, just trying to get more education.
And what have you found in the sort of new life alcohol free? What have you found that's been difficult? Have there been struggles that you had to come to terms with, or situations where you found more difficult?
Around not drinking,
Yeah,
words,
yeah.
I actually have not. Because life still happens. Cancer diagnosis 2 years ago. Went to the oncologist last week. Things are good for the time. My fiancée is going through health issues right now. I'm still rebuilding the trust of my adult children. It's uncomfortable, right? And life still happens, but I have not had instance where a drink will solve this problem. It's been sitting with it, dissecting the feelings, the emotions. I do have the power to choose how I react, how I respond. It's in me, it's nowhere else.
And in having cancer, I'm so sorry to hear that. I didn't know that, Tim. You can also know in yourself that you're putting yourself in the best possible situation for repair, restore, because alcohol creates such inflammation systemically that people don't talk about. Like, we may be told that alcohol is bad for us and causes problems in the long run, but we don't know about how much inflammation it causes in the short term. So if you're trying to recover from an illness, or whether that's physical or mental, putting alcohol in the picture just means that the immune system that would want to try and deal with the cancer cells can't, because the liver has to deal with the imminent danger of processing alcohol. So you can celebrate that for yourself for sure. I'm sorry to hear that the kids are taking a while to come back to you. From my personal experience, one of the main reasons I stopped drinking was because I could feel my children slipping away from me. And they weren't even 10. They were very young. They were, I think, probably 8 and 6. And my 8-year-old, if I'd left the house, she would start, not love bombing me, I don't know what, mum bombing me, with messages going, when are you coming home? When are you coming home? Not because I was going to be out particularly late. Feared the altered state that I would be in. And not that necessarily I was going to be stumbling drunk and falling all over the place, but that I was just a different person. And she will remember that, not unfortunately, she will remember that for her life, no matter what I do now, which is alcohol-free and always there to drive and always there to be that kind of clear-headed support for her in her journey. They won't undo that she has felt unsafe, unseen and unheard by her mother. And that makes me feel, even if it was just for a short period of time, that makes me feel really sad. So I'm sure your children will have lots of admiration and respect for the journey that you're on now, but I can imagine it will take them a hot minute.
Yeah. Very good friend of mine told me early on, baby steps. Never been a baby step person, right? I've always, I'm here, you're going to get all of me. I want it all. Pardon me. I tried that early on with my kids. Like I said, they're adults now. 10 years ago, they weren't. And so it's taken a long time to rebuild that trust, and we're much better than we were, to say the least. They saw me at my worst. Like you said, they are proud of what I'm doing, where I am from where I was, and then I'm coaching. A basketball game with my son last year was in town. We went to a basketball game, and I told him about coaching. His first question was, "That's great." And then it was, "You're not quitting your job, are you?" Real practical side of it. So they're proud, they're happy, but again, it's still, I would be if I were in their shoes, not trusting, because the damage that I did was deep. When someone asks you about a why, that's my why. Even though they're adults, I want them to see and know that the, the man, not the dad that they saw snapshot of time, that was an absolute mess in their lives.
That's brilliant. Yeah, and I can resonate with it as well. I can remember times when my young kids were worried about me when actually I was supposed to be the parent, and they were parenting me because if I was drunk, and they wondering if I would get back to the holiday home from the pub and that kind of thing. Yeah, it's not a nice thing, and it does take time to bring that trust back. So tell us about things now that you're coaching to companies. Tell us about that. How did you get into that, and what sort of service do you offer them?
So my professional background has been dealing with employee benefit plans, whether it's disability, dental insurance, life insurance, a benefit offering that an employer would be offering to their employees. So I've been with employers for almost 30 years. So outside of my one-on-one coaching, the next step in my coaching, building the practice, is introducing it to employers. My first step is the 30-day program, no charge, just introduce me to your employees. Everything's confidential. The employer doesn't know anything about it because that hidden cost, the employers are paying for their employees from absenteeism, presenteeism. But just rolling the program out to them, introduce me to their employees, the employees with me one-on-one, email, video, and from there, the employer's out of it. It's just between me and the employees if they want to continue with me one-on-one coaching. That's where the coaching practice sits right now. It's a one-on-one coaching, building out the employer side.
I love that. I love that you've got a way in there, because in my experience, both as a drinker, an ex-drinker, and a coach, is that there's so much stigma and shame around drinking. So even if you need help or want help, personally or in a group, it's the last thing that people want to even start to recognize in themselves. People can probably Google at the end of the night, am I an alcoholic? How much is too much? And all the rest of it. And people ask me often, if I'm moderating, what is a moderate amount and can I moderate? And it dawned on me recently when I was digging back into the material that actually the question that you can ask yourself is, does it feel like I can moderate? Does it feel like I can moderate chocolate? Yeah, I probably can. It'll take a bit of work, but I probably can reduce my increasing half a block down to a quarter of a block. I could probably manage that. Can I moderate drinking? Or maybe the first night I could have 2 drinks, but I know that just opens a can of worms. What's going to happen with the rest of the bottle? And if I drink this week, does that mean that the next event I just know that the answer straight away, playing it forward, is no. So having you inside the space of discomfort, offering something that it's uncomfortable to ask for and even more uncomfortable to accept is amazing. I think that you've really got something there to be. I'm ready and waiting for you. Come and talk to me. I think that's brilliant.
Thankfully, mental health is there's a stigma attached to it, but it's much more something we're comfortable talking about. Not so much. There was a major stigma from an employer perspective. Encouraged a lot of times. Business to entertainment. Bars in our offices, and again, was part of life. So for an employer to be able to stay, we don't encourage one, but then number 2, to be able to say, We know it's an issue, and it can be an issue. Here's an offering. It has nothing to do with the employer themselves, but we know you need help. You may need help. And if you do, we're here to help you along.
That's really good. And I commend employers for being open-minded to it because it can be, like you said, it can be a stigma thing, and employees can think, I don't want anyone at work to know that I might be drinking a bit too much. But it can be in this day and age with the sort of right frame of mind from the employer, as you said, the absenteeism, the presenteeism, the general benefit to them if their employees are healthier, and approaching it just as a way to educate and help employees to be healthier and be better in themselves. It's really powerful. When we do these podcasts, we like to ask it when we get to the end for everyone to come up with 3 words that describe how it's been finding freedom, or what finding freedom from alcohol means to them. Do you have 3 words for us that represent that?
Freedom, the catch-all, right? It starts with everything sits in freedom. I'm not tethered to anything. I have the power to make choices about how I deal with life. That's my power. So the freedom sits there, and that comes with peace as well. Outside of freedom, Barry, I would say present. The presence I talked a little bit earlier, just being in that. The mundane things, being present. I posted a video talking about making coffee, and I've always been a curator, the pod guy. Now it's a percolator. Mundane. It's a few extra steps, but when I'm just present, that little mundane activity, it's calming. It just resets my brain. And so being present, and then the awareness of being able, again, it's my emotion, it's my feeling. I'm responsible for it. Let it affect me.
Wonderful.
Presence and awareness.
And
Really good. Really good.
none of those wonderful things are possible with the weight of withdrawal and craving pressing in on us from the moment we wake up with the hangover or that kind of sense of disappointment and shame, following through to the rest of the day when the cravings start to kick in and you're either battling them or giving into them. So those 3 things, presence, awareness, and freedom, come from choosing yourself and finding a way to move forward. Thank you so much for those wise words, and indeed you being here with us today. It's been a pleasure talking with you, Tim.
Likewise, thank you for inviting.
Yeah, and tell people where they can find you. And you've already said a bit about the services that you offer, but tell us where can people find you? We'll put that in the show notes as well.
Thank you. It is onwardfcoaching.com.
Brilliant.
On that note, onwards and upwards.
That's good. Thanks, Tim.
Justine, Barry, thank you.